So everybody, refresh your screens, and we're back with Pete from Mashable. So you started the site in 2005.
Um, yeah, so I started in kind of, let me think, maybe fall 2005.
Hmm.
And we started off kind of covering startups and what was happening in the space. And then we did that for maybe, well, I did that personally for maybe a year, and we kind of specialized in social networking. And now, obviously, as the space has evolved, we've moved into the social media space, which is kind of the same thing to some degree, but social networking, the aim was to kind of connect with your friends, and now the aim is to kind of share content.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a transition, but it's a transition that's made a lot of sense going from social networking to social media.
Right. And I know that you're very forward thinking from some discussions we've had offline, that you're looking at other technologies as well, which I think is really bright. And won't discuss those in any detail right now, but I get the vision for where you're going, and I think that this is just the beginning for your brand.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really, really exciting time. I mean, economic situation accepted for a lot of these startups, it's a bit troubling, but with that aside, I think for social media in general, it's a really exciting time. With I mean, who saw kind of a year ago that Twitter was going to be as big as it is? Who saw, I mean, we watched as well at Mashable the kind of the rise of YouTube, and we covered it when it first launched, and then suddenly it's tremendous scale, and you really can't go anywhere on the web without seeing YouTube videos. YouTube videos are, being shared on mainstream media. I mean, you watch these sites and you think of the period of time this has all happened in. It's quite phenomenal.
Yeah. So, what do you think of Twitter getting this new round of funding? I mean, they're up to what, 50, 55 million now in their coffers?
Right. I mean, as a user of Twitter, all I want is for is to be assured that Twitter is going to be around in a few years, and I think it absolutely will. So I'm always pleased to hear they've taken funding. I have no other comment on that.
Well, I will ask this, and you can comment if you want to or not if you don't. How do you think they're going to end up monetizing the service over this next year?
That's the question, isn't it? Well, I mean, it's already been said by Ev that they're looking into how they're going to monetize brands. So I'm going to assume, well, not how they're going to monetize brands, but how are they going to verify brands? And I'm going to assume that along with that verification kind of process, there must be some kind of monetization of the brands there. I mean, the obvious monetization, which everyone brings up, is the same model as Flickr, which is you can have a pro account and you can have extra features, and that can work too. I'm actually, it doesn't concern me. I think a lot of people um, are incredibly concerned in the industry about, okay, how is Twitter going to monetize? I think when you have audience, you can monetize.
I think so too. Do you think that's going to end up looking like advertising then?
Um, Not if they're smart. I mean, this is why companies are so careful to monetize incorrectly, because if you do it incorrectly, you can lose a bunch of your users,
Hmm.
which is how, for instance, WordPress got its start. When other services monetize, users can just leave if there's a good competitor. There isn't really a strong competitor to Twitter, so there's not a huge risk.
Right.
Um, but I think you've just got to be really careful. And right now they have such momentum that they're taking their time, um, taking more funding, gives them a bit of runway to figure out the business model issue.
We've got some users asking on the Ustream right now for some Twitter 101 about what Twitter is. And I define it as the new water cooler of this century, because this is where people are, casually coming by and discussing the topics
Mhm.
of the day and interacting. How do you define Twitter?
I think Twitter is an open messaging platform, and I think it's to define what that platform is to misunderstand that it's a platform entirely. It's a platform, and it's almost a protocol in the same sense that email was a protocol. Or you don't ask, okay, what is your telephone used for? You can use it for any message you want to send. What is instant messaging? It's a platform. What nobody is going to dictate to you what kind of instant messages you should be sending. So it's an open messaging platform, and because it's cross-platform as well, as because it works on your phone, on the web, and on these various applications, it's an incredibly flexible one.
So you would
And that's why we've seen that kind of growth, because all these applications are building on top of it.
right. So you would concur with Warren Whitlock. When I talked with Warren last week, he said when he defined Twitter, he said no rules. Do you agree with that? No rules?
Um, I think clearly Twitter has to have some kind of boundaries on what is acceptable behavior on the service, and has to reserve the right to delete accounts that are spamming or that are really being a nuisance, and behaviors that are a nuisance. And you look at things like Twitter search, you can be fairly sure that they're doing some manual uh, kind of intervention there. I mean, there are certain terms that will come up on Twitter search. They're obviously rogue terms, or there's some kind of attempt to get in that system, and obviously they monitor those. But I think there need to be rules just to keep the community clean to some degree. But I don't really believe in saying, okay, this is how you should tweet, or this is how you should use the service. I think there are lots of different ways to use it. People have their own opinions. I mean, clearly I use it for sharing links, and I don't use it in the conversational sense that a lot of people do, and I get criticism for that. But by the same token, if you're too conversational, you get criticized for kind of being noisy.
Right.
So I
Talking
think it's
too
a hard
much.
line to walk.
Yeah, now
Exactly, yeah.
you're one of those. As I look at, let me go back to your stream here a second. As I look at you, you've got a massive number of followers, 112,000, and you follow about 1,700 people. So
Mhm.
my assumption is you're very selective in who you follow.
Yeah. And I know that some people auto follow everyone who follows them, and I don't do that because I kind of feel like there are a lot of accounts that are essentially just auto following these days. They're just set up to try and see if you're going to auto follow them back.
Right.
But also, I think it would be disingenuous for me, and I get criticism for that as well, that I don't follow everyone back. But I think it would be disingenuous for me to pretend to be following 100,000 people. I simply couldn't do it. So, I follow a few thousand people. I started off with kind of a core of people I knew and who I wanted updates from. And occasionally I'll add people who, for instance, mention Mashable, or if someone has an issue with Mashable that we have to sort out, some kind of technical issue with the site, and they message me, I'll follow them so that they can obviously DM me and have a conversation and try and fix that issue.
Right.
But
Your
I kind of
fans,
limited, yeah.
your fans here in the room are saying they love you, they love following you, they love your honesty, and I appreciate it as well. So there's a software tool out there right now, which I'm not going to give a name to, and what it does is it automates the building of followers through a pyramid type scheme where you put your name in and then you tweet, and these
Right.
probably people you're familiar with it.
Which one's it called?
Well, I didn't. Okay, we'll say it. A tweeter getter.
Oh, yes, I have seen this.
Yeah, and
Um,
your take on that?
you know, uh, I am not the moral arbiter of Twitter. If you want to engage in those things, just be aware that Twitter may come in and block their usage at some point. But you have to use your own judgment on whether you think something is ethical and whether something's real, and also whether the kind of followers you want are the kind of followers that those services will generate. Twitter Getter in particular, I don't have any comment on, but I do think there are quite a few on Mashable that we've really dug into. And I haven't really dug into Twitter Getter, I'll be honest. I've just heard about it. There are a few that are really quite obviously spammy, and I think you've got to question: do you want real followers? Do you want followers who are interested in your content, or do you just want followers for the sake of it?
Uh,
Um,
That's a good answer, and Pete, you're actually wise beyond your years because you're
Oh, but we've been through this before, because we had RSS with blogs to start with, and the numbers started off fine, and then they became absolute nonsense, and we don't want it to happen again with Twitter follower numbers,
right.
because they became something that people couldn't trust. And in the early days, you could sell advertising against those numbers, and very, very quickly they became so untrustworthy. And the same with most web stats; they became so untrustworthy, they became really hard to sell on the numbers that you were providing, because people lost trust in them. I think if people lose trust in follower numbers, then it's going to do a disservice to Twitter as a whole.
Absolutely. So, are you encountering? We've had over the past 2 weeks people register Joel A. Comm, Joel B. Comm, Joel
Mm.
C. Comm. I think we're all the way up to P or Q right now, and of course, they're putting up my picture in the profile and using it to promote a product that it looks like I might promote, but I'm not. And Twitter is being great when I send at spam to close them. Are you encountering that too? Or people duplicating, trying to pretend to be you?
I have not had any specific issues on Twitter with people pretending to be me. I do have identity issues kind of across the web. I mean, originally our Dig account was owned by someone else, and when someone's, we claimed that, but when someone else is using your name to do things you might not necessarily approve of, it's really quite frustrating. I remember someone left a comment as me a few weeks ago, and I think that was quite a cleanup operation to prove that wasn't me. So I think it is incredibly frustrating when people are impersonating you in that way, but it's not something I've experienced in Twitter. I don't think. Oh, someone's going to do it now, aren't they, Joel? You just set
Yeah,
me up.
I'm afraid. I'm
You're
thinking to
just
myself,
like, go on, people.
well, the people here
Great
that are
confessions
following
of
us,
cheat Twitter
these
stream.
people
Yeah.
won't do that to you, but
Yes,
it
they're
wouldn't
nice.
surprise me
Uh-huh.
if eventually you did encounter that. One of the things is you don't really sell product. You have content sites, and so for somebody to pretend to be you and promote a product would be terribly out of character, and it would be recognizable right away. For somebody to pretend to be me and post an offer about using Google and how to monetize it is not out of character because that's a segment of my business, and so they're going to go after those type of people first.
Sure. Sure.
So,
I want to speak. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, no, please.
I wanted to speak about Water is Life a bit and get some info on that.
Water is life, absolutely. This is a fantastic device. This water straw. Ken Surratt was with us earlier, and he's been to Kenya one time, and they brought 1,000 of these, and they saw that the need was just so tremendous. The long-term goal is to dig clean water wells, and those are $5,000 to basically take care of an entire community. But the short-term solution is to send these water straws for $10 a piece, and a child can drink 2 to 3 liters of water out of the river running through their village that has all kinds of bacteria and waterborne diseases for a year and get clean, purified water out of it. It's really an amazing device, and we're asking people to help out by sponsoring one or more of these straws. The goal is to take 20,000 of them to Kenya in August, and very excited about it, and the response from people has been very favorable as well.
Well, you know what I think this is great for, and this is one of the reasons why I agreed to come on this when you emailed me, Joel, is because I think there was a lot about Twitter in the early days that, oh, Twitter is pointless and it's just messages about your cat, or it's just people saying that what they have for breakfast this morning. And I think these kind of social media for social good campaigns like Tweet-A-Thon, and we've done a few as well, what they're doing is they're kind of showing to people, hey, this is actually a movement, and this is actually something that can bring about really positive social change, and it kind of it's an answer to those critics who say, "Oh, Twitter's so pointless; it'll never amount to anything. It doesn't achieve anything." So I think these are kind of landmark points. And the first time I was involved in that kind of thing was with Charity Water, and they did a September campaign,
Uh huh.
which we were which I tweeted out on. It was like, if you have a September birthday, instead of having people give you gifts, have them donate to this project to build wells. In places where they don't have clean water, and I raised $10,000 from my Twitter stream just during that period, along with a couple of other people. One of them was a guy called Paul Young, who then went on to be part of Twestival, which is the event that we just did a few weeks back, which was for Charity Water as well, and they did a series of, I think it was at least 150 events, maybe 200 plus events worldwide, raising money through Twitter, and they got $250,000 so far through just these Twitter organized events. So I
That's
think this is a
tremendous.
really good trend that we're all kind of just showing the best side of Twitter,
Yeah.
rather than kind of emphasizing the negatives that people are saying. Well, it's kind of banal and it's kind of just tweeting about kind of unimportant things, or some people are saying that it's, particularly, I don't know, self-interested, or it's particularly kind of egotistical. So I think all these things are just incredibly positive.
I think you're right. And, it's like you said at the beginning when I asked you to define Twitter, you said it's a medium. And of course, any medium could be used for good or evil or totally benign reasons. And
Yeah.
to demonstrate that social media, here we are, we're using Ustream, video that streams out to the entire world. Anybody can be watching us. Twitter that can be accessed and interacted with by anybody in the world. And it's all about a
Mhm.
social cause. And I think it's very effective.
Yeah.
And this is just the beginning.
Yeah, but I mean, going back to Mashable, I mean, we're very, very pro social media. We think that social media is a kind of a movement, that it's having a lot of beneficial effects that we kind of want to accelerate, which are things like, social good is bringing people together around causes. Things like making brands a lot more transparent. You see people like at Comcast Cares on there, communicating directly with the customer. So I think. And we actually did a post which was like 40 best brands on Twitter a while back that got a lot of interest. And brands are still writing to us now saying, "Hey, how do we get into Twitter?" So I think the kind of the impact of social media is a positive one, and I honestly believe that. And I think we should emphasize the positives of Twitter to kind of answer those critics who are saying that it's really pointless, essentially.
Well, and I think this is the proof. And there's always the naysayers, but it's the people who actually get involved with the new technology and use it for good that are going to make the difference. And let the naysayers keep saying nay. That's that's all there is to it. Pete, I want to respect your time. I really appreciate you coming on the Tweet-A-Thon, supporting what we're doing here with Water is Life. Feel free to continue to tell others about it, and I appreciate the work you're doing at Mashable.
I will do. Who else have you got coming up? Some big names, haven't you?
Coming up over the course of the evening, we've got Chris Perillo's going to be here. Will Wheaton's coming on. Scoble's going to be coming on. Mark Joyner, Coach Deb, who's actually in the Ustream right now. David Lawrence from Heroes is going to be joining us. Dom Segola, one of the original Twitters, and MC Hammer is supposed to be joining us as well, among others.
Oh, you got MC Hammer coming on. That's awesome.
Twitter time.
It's Twitter time.
Yeah, you can't touch us. Hey, thanks a lot, Pete. Appreciate you. Look forward to getting to know you more and talking to you soon. Take care, my friend.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.